Hey everybody, sorry we're back. We're having a little technical difficulties with getting Karina on here, so just gonna hang out here for a minute until I see her again. How's everyone doing on this lovely Tuesday? It's nice and sunny here in Encinitas. I'm here in my office at Level 4 Physio in Encinitas. All the traffic going by, 5 o'clock. Okay, Karina, let's see if this works. Yay!
Hey, okay, I was like, I'm not sure if I'm doing it right.
Yes, I see your beautiful face. How are you?
Oh, yeah, good. How are you?
Good. So the first time
Well,
I did one of these, somebody else invited me, and I was on my laptop too. And then my
oh,
phone was locked in wouldn't turn landscape, so I had to postpone it, and it was a mess. But
yeah,
now
I
I know how
got
to
to
do
do
it.
this.
So I just want to be able to introduce you and tell everyone what an awesome person you are. And thank you for doing this in this little interview where I get to talk to somebody who really knows CrossFit, is a female athlete, is a competitor, and also a mom. And it's really important to know, and hearing it from you, somebody like you, Karina, how the evolution of things have changed with fitness and working out, and what you went through from pregnancy to postpartum. And I'm sure many other women can relate to. So just the fact of somebody else hearing your story, I think will
Yeah.
be really awesome too. So Karina is in Portland, Oregon, which is where I had the pleasure to meet her. Her husband and I were friends, and also worked out with us at CrossFit Reflection in Beaverton and in Portland. And so we had the pleasure of meeting you guys a few years ago and kept in touch. And Karina reached out to me when she wanted some advice about things, and I was happy to do that. So she's 26 years old. She has a really cute son who now 16 months old. I can't believe that. And
Yeah, me neither.
she's been doing CrossFit for about 5 years, which she's been a competitor competing in the many different things. The Oregon Winter Games, Gobbler Gauntlet, Rogue Rampage, and soon to compete at the Can West Games and Best of the West Summer Games. That's really cool and exciting.
Yeah, I'm pumped.
Yeah. And then she works as a marketing manager too. So you have a lot of background behind you, and I just want to hear from you some things that you feel are important for other people to know, what your journey was like, especially during pregnancy, and how
Yeah.
that was with training, and what your goals were at that point, and what your experience was like when you were still doing CrossFit when you were pregnant.
Yeah, so when I was pregnant, I kind of really didn't have any information on, like what was okay to do and what was not okay to do. And I really didn't feel like there was anybody that knew enough to give me that kind of like um, guidance. And so for me, it was a lot of just kind of like Googling, like, is it okay for a pregnant woman of 6 months to do XYZ? And then it just came down to like, okay, I'm just going to listen to my body. And if something doesn't feel right, like I'm not going to do it. And I really, at that point, it's sad, but I had no clue about like what is diastasis recti and, like the fact that like peeing after, having a baby was a thing after, like I didn't even know that while I was pregnant. And so for me, like, honestly, the only information that was out there was like, doing all these things while you're pregnant is like badass and so cool. And um, for me, it was like, okay, yeah, like I'm going to be like, I love CrossFit. I'm fit. Like I'm going to try to just stay in the game as long as I can. And for me, that was kind of like, I wish that my thinking was different there.
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of people, they do what they normally do when they're pregnant, and there's nothing wrong with that, but there's certain things, if you just kind of think about what might be on the horizon, and it's fixable, but just listening to your body, I think, is important to know. And it's really cool to continue to exercise, but just knowing that the same thing is not going to be right for every person too.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
in hindsight, it's 2020. You know, you can
Yeah.
always say, "Oh, I wish I would have known that, or I wish I'd done that." But you did the best
Yeah.
with what you knew at that time. And a lot
Mm-hmm.
of women too, the second time around, or third time around, they might think about things differently, or have
Yeah.
a different experience too next time. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so take us on that journey of leading up. Like, how long did you continue to do CrossFit up until you delivered?
So around like 30 weeks, I started to have, Dawn will know the actual term, but pretty much it felt like my pelvis was like ripping apart. So sorry for any guys that are watching this, but that's the truth.
That's
And
what it feels
so
like.
at 30 weeks, I was like, okay, I can't even like move my legs. And so a lot of it was literally just like biking. And then I think from 30 weeks, that's pretty much it. It was like anything I could do while I was sitting down, box squats. And then towards like I had Maverick at 38 weeks. So I would say after 35 weeks, I pretty much just stopped doing anything. And that was just but I see women who, perfectly fine work out till they're like 41 weeks, that was just kind of me and my energy levels and then just my particular like symptoms. But yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember any specific things in CrossFit that you were like, oh, I can't do this anymore. It's not gonna happen.
Thing with weight was
Sorry,
pretty, anything higher than, oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
yeah, yeah. Sorry, I froze for a second.
Yeah. So anything over like this, I would say like the standard open weights was like a no-go for me. Probably even like 10 pounds below that. And then also just like, uh, because of my like pelvis situation, anything that was like single legged was really painful for me. So I couldn't do any like lunges so that kind of sucked because that was like really limited me on the body weight movements that I could do.
Uh-huh.
But other than that, it was really just like heavyweight stuff or just adding any more weight. It was really just doing anything I could seated and like body weight stuff.
Okay. Okay. You're a little frozen on my screen. Can you see me?
Yeah.
Okay. It should come back soon. So you had your son, and then what did you start doing, or how soon did you start exercising after you had your baby?
Um, I would say for me it was 8 weeks. I think I highly misunderstood like how much of a toll it takes on your body and that, I mean, especially in the CrossFit world, you like watch all of these women who are like, I just had a baby 3 days ago and I am like snatching, 125 pounds. And I was like, yeah, like I can do that. And so I think at like 2 weeks, I went for like a mile walk with my mom and like my body, like I literally had to shut down. My body was not having it. And so most women, I think, get cleared by their OB at like 6 weeks, which I did, but I waited an extra 2 weeks and then um, I didn't like do any weight stuff until probably 3 months.
Okay.
I really just went back to the basics.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what was that experience like did you tell your doctor you were still doing CrossFit, while you were pregnant, or, that
Yeah.
was your goal to get back to afterward? And what did your doctor say?
Um, Pretty much she was actually really cool and supportive, which I liked because I've heard, from my friends where their doctors are like, you need to not do a single thing, while you're pregnant. And so, she was pretty much like, if you did it before you were pregnant, then you can still do it while you're pregnant. Obviously, with the weight though, there's like, try not to, this isn't the time to like PR really in anything like, times
Yeah.
or whatever. So, it was pretty much like do what feels good. And then honestly, I wish there was more guidance at the postpartum stage when you go back in and you're like, okay, like, because I was just like so freaked out. I mean, I remember texting you being like, oh my God, like what is going on with my body? Is this normal? Is this not? And so they really just kind of like, okay, like, which I'm sure for them, they see so many women, they're like, yeah, you look great. Okay, bye. And so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just knowing how to actually progress back into CrossFit. It's not like you're going swimming or you're just going for a walk. It's a little bit different. And higher intensity exercise,
Yeah.
they require more of a foundation to get back to, no matter how much you were exercising during pregnancy, too. So I think there's
Right.
that big gap, too. And traditional physical therapy may take you to a point where, yeah, you're doing some standing exercises or you're doing some light exercises, but is it really, ready for CrossFit? That could be a different story.
Right.
So what has
Yeah.
been your experience now in the postpartum stage? I mean, your son is 16 months old. So what made you think about, okay, I need to, because you started dialing back a little bit recently to focus more on your foundational stuff, and what changed for you?
Yeah. So pretty much like my goal after I had Maverick was like, okay, I'm gonna train as hard as I can. Like, I want to do as best as I've ever done in the open and, really get like a top 1% spot in the region. And so when I set a goal, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do that. So I was training super hard and realizing that, I was doing certain things that were making me have certain symptoms. And I was just like, okay, but in CrossFit, it's just like women are kind of like, well, this is normal. So, it's just like an aftermath of having kids. So I was like, okay, I just joined the club. But after a while, especially during the open, when the open was happening and where you're really like pushing yourself to your absolute limit, I was like, okay, I don't feel like this is good anymore for my body. And, I do want to have more kids and I do want to continue to do CrossFit and be able to do things. So how can I kind of take a step back and focus on like, obviously seeing kind of your information and really researching myself that there are things out there that you can do to like, supplement and accessorize those muscles and kind of retrain things. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So, some of the breathing exercises and foundational stuff that I've given you and kind of coached you along, what are still, what have you noticed in the last month or so that has changed for you? Because I know we talked about in the beginning of certain movements, like being afraid of doing double unders or box jumps without letting your pelvic floor go.
Yeah.
You're having other issues, but like what certain things were you surprised at?
So like bounding box jumps for me were like the worst. Like I felt like my entire womanly insides were just coming out. And then double, again, sorry guys. And then double unders were like, it was just like, oh, you're double unders, you're going to pee your pants. Like that's just how it goes. And then anything that really was like extra force or like kipping movements. So I've been working with you on just kind of honestly, what's like so surprising is that it's really just like retraining the way you breathe and like certain strategies and kind of remembering to connect muscles, which like for me, I thought it was like, you know, not that easy, but until you understand, how everything works together, you kind of realize, oh, okay, this is just like any other muscle or any other thing or accessory work you would do. And so just, doing that with you for a couple weeks now, I'm doing like bounding box jumps at like, 60 reps, double unders of the like, over 100 reps, and like no leaks, like nothing. I walk around the house and I sneeze and I don't pee my pants. And it's like, I really am like so happy that I decided to do this and work on this, because I really didn't think that it was an actual thing that I could do. I didn't think I could change it. Thought it was just like what I was left with. And so it's actually really promising, because now I feel comfortable again doing CrossFit and not feeling guilty when I'm doing it. Like I'm just making my body worse just because I want to do CrossFit. And so now it's like I feel confident doing CrossFit, knowing that I'm also taking care of those things too.
Right. Like empowering you to feel confident with what you like to do to exercise, and you can continue to have your goals and in CrossFit.
Yeah.
The point where you're competing and doing the stuff that you want to do, but not feeling like you're doing detrimental, harm to your body. So that's awesome. What advice would you have for anyone else out there who is doing CrossFit or doing any high intensity exercise that is either pregnant now or newly postpartum, like in the first 3 years after having a baby? What would you tell them?
Just don't be afraid to, research things and like reach out. And if something doesn't feel right, that there's generally always something you can do about it. And so especially like the pregnant women, while you're in it, like just really enjoy that time, like moving, but like don't have these high expectations. And if I could tell myself something, it would be like, look, you're not going to like lose anything or everything that you ever gained through CrossFit or strength or whatever in a matter of 9 months. Like, I feel like I got better. I got stronger. And so if I could just tell any other pregnant women, like, it's okay to just relax, and you'll still be good after, and you'll still be able to get back to it. If you allow your body this time to like make a human. And then just postpartum, it would be like, don't be ashamed of, there are a lot of times like, especially just because it is a male sport too, where you're just like, it would embarrass me to like clean 215 pounds and everybody would be like, oh, awesome. And you also like peed all over the floor, and you're like, okay, well, this is just embarrassing. But at the same time, like people need to talk about it. And like prolapse, I'm sure guys are like, what is that even? That's like really gross, but it's a thing that can happen. And just don't be ashamed to reach out and be like, hey, I want to fix this, because there's things you can do to help it. And, if not completely help, fix your symptoms, but like at least make them better. So.
Yeah. And learning strategies that's right for you, because everybody's goals or everybody's movement strategy is going to be a little bit different, but thanks for saying that. I can't say that enough, to reach out to any female to really listen to your body. And it took you 9 months to grow a human inside of you. So it takes 9+ months to get to that stage where you're building the foundation afterward too, because there's so many changes that happen. But I am so excited for you and your upcoming competition. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
And we will continue to chat and work on some things. And I just want to say thank you for being a part of this, allowing you to share your story. That's really important for other people to hear from you too. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for all your help.
Yeah. Well, if anyone has any questions, or they want some guidance, or just want some free information, there's tons of stuff on my website. And then also I get emails or messages through Instagram about other women that have similar concerns or questions, especially when in relation to CrossFit too. So feel free to reach out to me. I'll put our website underneath in the comments, and if anybody else has any comments, or they want to tag somebody they think needs to listen to this, go ahead and do that under the video too. So thanks, Karina. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Bye.